Hi everybody, this is Dee over at Aloha Astro, and today is the full moon in Cancer in just a few minutes on January the 10th, 2020 at 2:21 p.m. in Eastern Time Zone, and it will be at 20 degrees of Cancer. We also have a partial lunar eclipse occurring, and this is the wolf moon. There is a great deal of intensity around this moon. Before we get into looking at what's going on in the heavens, I would just like to mention that I am running a special. This is my birthday month. Not only is it my birthday month, but I am on my second Saturn return, and it is exact today, along with a Saturn and Pluto conjunction, which a lot of people are talking about as well. So I am offering my recorded reading of the yearly overview. Lots of stuff comes with it: your current transits to your natal chart, day watch calendar and report that governs you for the entire year, covers you for the year, as well as your progress chart and your solar return chart. So it's about 2 hours of recording time, and you can keep that recording and look back on it throughout the year. I also hit on the major planetary transits through the year, the new moons, the full moons, so you know what's up ahead. And you can save $37 on that right now. It's normally $125. It is $88, and that is only until the end of January. So that pop-up will give you a code to enter at the shopping cart when you order. Let's take a look at the forecast that I wrote for the full moon today. Full moon in Cancer and a lunar eclipse on Friday, January 10th activates darker emotions as it opposes the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn and the moon rules Cancer, so both these planets are at full power in whatever area of your natal chart you find Cancer and Capricorn. Pluto is the planet that rules the eighth of merged boundaries, shared assets, and among other things, death. Pluto is a planet of power, control, upheaval, crisis, and transformation, and it intensifies any planet it interacts with, which makes the success-seeking, rule-enforcing Saturn even more serious than it usually feels, and the moon in nurturing, protective, family-oriented Cancer is super-sensitized. Life can feel overwhelming because this is an extreme full moon that illuminates harsh reality and instinctively causes people to put up emotional walls in response to perceived threats. A Yod aspect pattern of Mars in Sagittarius, the North Node in Cancer, and Uranus in Taurus, as well as Mars trine Chiron in Aries, Jupiter in Capricorn trine to Uranus, and Venus sextile Uranus are all positive aspects that encourage freedom, change, the breaking down of walls, and the exploration of new areas of life beyond the moon in Cancer, emotions around home safety, and Sun in Capricorn, identification of self in career, reputation. The full moon may be the star of the night sky, but how imposing it will be in your life can be moderated by the amount of worst-case thinking you allow yourself to indulge in. A positive effect of the full moon is the potential for your willpower to be energized when you reach the point of enough. So it is a strong one. It's quite intense. And let's take a look at the transits in the heavens now. On Planet Watcher, we can actually change the time to exactly the time of the moon. Okay, 2:21 p.m. There's that opposition going on of Moon and Sun in Cancer, and we have, well, that's interesting, the lines are actually not quite lining up, but they are opposing, and it pulls in the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto, so these four planets all in Capricorn are clustered tightly together. Sense of self and how you are recognized, how you project yourself, is governed by Sun, Mercury, communication, thought, Saturn, duty, responsibility, authority, and Pluto, control, power, intensity, upheaval, crisis, transformation. These two tightly joined together are basically like a cannonball and a rock wall meeting each other. There's such intensity between these two planets. They are also planets that have a lot to do with mortality and the reality of being here and dealing with life, the day-to-day, and having to overcome challenges or step up and face fears and get stuff done, basically to overcome oppositions. And certainly while the moon is opposing all of this in Cancer, it can magnify all those emotions and just make you think that everything is extremely challenging at this point in time, or that you might feel a lack of power and control in your life if you are looking at a lot of problems stacking up against you, or if you are looking at too much of the world news and what's going on and feeling like your little voice alone is not going to make a big deal of difference in everything that's going on with politics and climate and all of that. Basically, we keep moving on through, as do the planets, and you can only do what you can do. So work constructively on the things in your own life that you can gain some control over. And one important thing when we are under the intensity of a full moon or a new moon, especially an eclipse, is to understand that really nothing makes you feel a particular way. You choose to have those responses, reactions, and feelings. And it's not good to repress your feelings, but if you can step outside of yourself enough to see that this is a feeling that you are allowing to have come up and move through you, then you can release it, and you can look at it, release it, and move on to something else. And that is one lesson that this opposition can be giving you, is that you can step in and gain some control over your feelings and where you choose to direct your attention. Now, there's a lot going on behind the scenes here that points toward favorable change, particularly this Yod, and it is spearheaded here by Mars in Sagittarius, which Sagittarius rules the 9th house. That's a house of higher thought, higher education, foreign travel. It's a seeking house. It's where we gather and share information and experience. And it is ruled by the planet Jupiter, which is a planet of growth and abundance. So we have Mars, the action planet, showing up in this mutable fire sign. And it's very quickening energy. It wants to make changes. It feels enthusiastic, and it's encouraging you to seek something more and to look beyond what's right in front of your face, to venture out and be bold and be brave. And it gets some extra boldness through that trine to Chiron in Aries. And this would basically be helping you to understand that you're at cause. You know, you can have some control, or you can choose to take certain actions, and it's up to you. A lot is up to you. The Yod pattern itself, these two quincunxes, one to the North Node and one to that planet of change, Uranus, sitting in Taurus. If you don't like something the way it is, you can seek for something else, is basically what that is saying. If you feel you're not on purpose in your life, or you're not where you belong, or you're ready for some fate-changing decision in your life, then the North Node in Cancer can definitely help you to think about, what are you doing? Are you on purpose? It is making an opposition to, well, we don't have the visual of the South Node here, but it is conjunct Jupiter, sitting opposite. And that opposition of Jupiter and the North Node, Jupiter conjunct South Node opposite the North Node, it may be time for growth. And how do you want to grow? Which direction do you want to go in? And it may require letting go of old established patterns. It may require letting go of certain family relationships, or where you live, or things that make you feel stable and secure. It may be time to be going out into the world without the biggest safety net, that may be coming to the realization that no amount of money in the bank, or reputation and prestige, or whatever it is that you might be seeking on a more material level, is ultimately going to help you in the long run, that it's not going to make a big deal of difference on the soul level or the spiritual level. If you are not happy doing what you are doing, then it might be time to get out of the old stuck patterns and maybe not worry quite so much as to whether you're making the right decision based just on the material level, because this is not just a material indicator here. This is much more about soul purpose, and are you doing what makes you happy or what you feel that you came here to do. So the illusion, of course, is that we have all this emphasis right now on planets that are in signs that have to do with traditionally their ownership, rulership is the 4th house of home, family, psychological foundations, and 10th house of career, reputation, where you are out there in the world. Also mother and father. The parental houses are houses 4 and 10, so family issues may be coming up for people as well at this time. Neptune is making favorable aspects here to both the moon and to all the Capricorn planets, a trine to the moon and sextile to the Capricorn planets. And this does add a little bit of grace, compassion, spiritual guidance from other planes. And I would say use the power of faith and prayer through Neptune. Use the power of imagination, belief in being able to navigate the tough stuff or the scary stuff that you might be facing. Basically, it's all good and it's all going to work out and you'll find a way. So that is what the planets are generally saying. Oops, we passed up on Venus. Venus is in Aquarius and is kind of odd man out, similar to Mars right now, odd man out, and we've got the kind of detached and unstable energy with the Aquarian energy, and it can be very friendly. It's not particularly romantic in the idealized sense. Once it moves off into Pisces and we get into that Pisces season and Valentine's Day and all of that, we then will see that Venus is functioning on that romantic level that people associate with Venus. But for now, it's more detached and friendly and has concern for many people, not just an individual person. And on an individual level, it may be that you're thinking more about yourself and loving yourself and giving in to your own desires in terms of what you'd like to do, not how do I serve other people? How do I make other people happy? Once it gets into Pisces, then you'll be thinking about somebody else again. But for now, this is more about you personally, and that may be just the type of detachment that you need in order to take some actions to make changes and go for some growth in the face of possibly some strong opposition from the world and all of its rules and expectations, and the family and parents and all of their rules and expectations, and all of those things that are very structured and seem safe, but might actually be blocking us off from being able to change or to grow. So that's what's going on at that moment. Let's read the Sabian symbol. For we round up to 21 Cancer, and we have a famous singer is proving her virtuosity during an operatic performance. The emotional reward accompanying cultural excellence. If anything represents the type of response that a well-developed society gives to the individual who successfully pours their energy into the skillful externalization of the great images of its culture, it is the opera. The operatic prima donna is not merely a lonely performer like the piano virtuoso, Gemini 13 degrees. He or she is the star in a collective effort. The opera is not only music, but a story, a mythos, which embodies some of the most basic images and emotions characterizing the culture that gave it birth. Euro-American culture is indeed extolled or condemned by its operas and their lurid and tragic passions. It is interesting to compare the opera with the equivalent type of social performances and their topics in India, Java, or Tibet. At this first stage of the 23rd five-fold sequence of cyclic phases, we find the drive toward individualization by means of concrete forms of cultural activity glorified in social and financial success. In its deepest sense, the symbol refers to the price of success for the individual as well as for the collectivity acclaiming him or her. What is success really worth? A question few people ask. And that's pretty much what is going on with our full moon and the Cancer and Capricorn energy at this time, especially when we look at the lunar nodes involved, whether it is worth it, whether conforming and maintaining everything out of the expectations is really worth it, and whether it would be better for you to follow something new or seek something else and bring changes and growth into your life. And of course, every new moon or full moon always brings something to a head in your chart. And as to where it is, that depends, of course, on your rising sign or ascendant. So if you know your rising sign or ascendant, you would want to look to see what house or area of life you have Cancer and Capricorn energy. And if you want more advice or information on what's going on, I am available at my site, and you can very easily book with me up at the top. And I would love to speak with you. Be safe and take it easy. Don't be too hard on yourself, and I will talk to you soon when we get up to the new moon in about 2 weeks' time.